Well, g'day. 9th of May 2026. As you know, my name is George. Very happy to present to you an episode of Message of Hope. Sorry guys, got the local football team playing in the background, so move away a little bit from them. Okay, well, let me tell you the story. A man named Kevin Ford, and he worked at the Burger King for 27 years. 27 years, that's a lot of fries and burgers to flip. So, it's not a career at Burger King though, of course. 27 years at the same Burger King place, mind you. The one inside McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. So he was a cook and he was a cashier as well, right? But the amazing thing was, this reported, he never missed a day. Crikey, that means he never had been sick perhaps, I don't know. And even if he was, he's like SpongeBob SquarePants, loved to go to work. When his 27th anniversary came around, nobody had planned anything for it. Unbelievable, right? And Kevin made a joke about it, and management scrambled. Woo! They put together a drawstring bag. Listen to this. Inside was a movie ticket, a Starbucks cup, and a bag of Reese. Some lifesavers, yeah, and a couple of pens. That's the 27th anniversary, congratulations for being with us type of present. So he posted a video of himself holding that bag, thanking his team for it. What a gentleman he is, yeah? What a big heart. The internet did not share his sentiments, of course. The video went viral. People were absolutely gone bonkers. They were outraged on his behalf. Imagine 27 years. Never missed a day and a handful of candy. Yeah, I did a video on this a couple of months ago about a lady who worked for Commonwealth Bank for a long time too. Similar treatment. Anyway, back to Kevin. And here's the thing about Kevin Ford. He wasn't performing gratitude in that video because he genuinely meant it though. And because Kevin wasn't there for the recognition. Right? According to what people were saying. He was just there for his daughters. Now listen to this. His daughter, Serena, set up a GoFundMe campaign. She wasn't asking for much, really. She was expecting $200 so her dad could visit his grandchildren. Wow. And in the description, she wrote something that stopped me when I read it. Okay? She didn't write, "My father is a skilled worker." She didn't write, "My father has been underpaid." No. She wrote, "He has never missed a day of work." Now, wouldn't you like that to be your employee? And she saw it. She had been watching for 27 years. And when the moment came, she already knew exactly who her father was. Yep. Well, the good news, the GoFundMe campaign raised nearly $500,000. That's incredible, isn't it? That's a pretty good return. Kevin bought his first house in Nevada. Good on him. Wasn't a mansion as he said himself, but it was his at least. And he gave a substantial amount to Serena so she could buy a home for herself and his grandchildren. Right? Dad does what dad does. The goodie bag was never the point here. Now, if what I'm sharing today is connecting with you, there'll be more on this channel to come. So please subscribe. I'm here every day. You can check it out. Don't forget to give me a thumbs like. I need a bit of encouragement and to help the algorithm, and share the video far and wide, please. Okay, so here's the thing most Christian parents think about when they think about the inheritance they'll leave. If they'll leave any. They think about a will, the superannuation, life insurance. As if they've been sensible. What gets divided? What gets passed on? Yeah, these are the questions that they're going to consider. And I understand that. Those things really do matter because it's a legacy thing, right? And I talk about them on this channel because they do matter. So you can go through a search, I do talk about these things. And when I read about what Serena wrote, "He has never missed a day of work," hey, something settled uncomfortably in my chest. Not guilty exactly, how would I be guilty? But more like the feeling of suddenly understanding that a camera has been running in your house for years and you forgot it was there. You see, Your children are not waiting for the conversation you plan to have with them someday about money and character and what matters. They're already forming the picture of you. That's the camera I'm talking about. Right now, from what they watch you do when nobody is making a fuss of it. And this is what Serena's words did to me. Now I suspect they might do something similar to you. A good thing. So here we come, my favorite part, Bible verse from Psalm 127 verses 3 to 4. Drum rolls please. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Arrows in the hand of a warrior. An arrow doesn't aim itself, it can't, it's just an object. It doesn't choose its direction, does it? It is shaped carefully over time and then released. Ting, ping. The archer's job isn't to fly, it's to form and then let it go. So the question that passage puts to me is not what do you plan to leave them in a will. Although that's not a bad idea. Or not what financial wisdom do you intend to pass on when they're older and ready to hear it. Yeah? Now what are they watching right now? Yeah, that's a good question. What picture of money, work, sacrifice and faithfulness is been assembled in these young minds while you go about your ordinary week, while you think nobody significant is paying attention to it. It's not easy being a parent, I'll give you that. Now I have a church friend, let's call her Becky, yeah? She told me her father worked as a concreter for years. It was physical, grinding work. And he did it so she could be afforded to go to study overseas. It made my other good friend as well. Obviously the cost came in later to the father. Arthritis, just general wear and sickness, the kind of damage that accumulates quietly and presents itself as a bill long after the work is done. She knows it, she carries it, but she's very grateful to the dad. And I think he never made a speech about it, he just kept showing up to work, correct? Now I think of my own mother. We lived in a tiny little place in Hong Kong. I estimate maybe not even 20 square meters. That's how crazy it is, right? Right? Our apartment was so small that the lounge room and the dining room were the same room, literally. And on that table, regularly, my mum had a small production line going there. Oh, there's a dog looking at me. I hope it's not going to bite me, I better move. Right? I remember once she was assembling dolls as a side hustle to make ends meet, I'm sure. Now, the particular detail that stays with me is that the dolls didn't have heads on it. Right? I remember my mum talking about it, and she was saying, no, the boss doesn't want to give us the head for some reason, right? Maybe the boss feared they would do their own dolls and sell it themselves. Anyway, at some point, she sat me down to try it with her. Talk about forced child labor. I was no more than 5 or 6 if I recall, and I couldn't do it, right? And I cried, not purely from frustration. Mostly, if I'm honest, because I didn't want to do it at all, right? I'd rather go out and play. And of course, I didn't understand what I was watching at that table, but I do now. And for about 5 years, when my own children were going through their youth group at a church on Friday nights, I had a routine. I dropped them off. I drove to the nearest shopping centre just to kill off some time. And then I drove back at least 20 minutes before the group finished to see what they had been up to. Yeah? And I want to be honest about what that looked like. I wasn't sitting there somewhere in quiet prayer. I was in a shopping centre, probably looking at things I didn't need to, like there was a pet shop. I'm a sucker for pet shops. But I came back every Friday for 5 years, yeah, consistently. Because to me, that was a good investment. I had to do it, right? I had to do it not because I had a strategy, but because I wanted them to grow up in a church community, because I believed that mattered more than whether it was convenient for me on a Friday night or not. You just showed up anyway. If you're fair thinking about having your kids submerging themselves into a Christian environment, that's the only way to go, okay? Now, one Christmas when my children were young, our church had a large Christmas tree in the foyer. Actually, they regularly do that. Cards were hung from the branches, and each one described a need, right? Somewhere in the world. Could be in Africa, could be in India. You just don't know until you pick it up. So your job was to take a card, and if you take a card, you're committed to the request written on it. So on that one Christmas, we took a card, and I represented it as for my family, right? The request was simple enough. The request was to have enough money to buy a goat. So the goat meant milk, obviously, but the milk meant food and something that would last for them, because they were using that as a form of business. I think it was somewhere, a family in Africa. Now I explained it to my children as we stood there. Not as a lesson with 3 points, right? Just as this is what God's generously looks like when He gets up and walks out the door. God didn't send a message like that, right? He sent Jesus. We can do a smaller version of that. We can send a goat to somebody's lives, figuratively. Now I watched their faces while I said it, and I honestly couldn't tell you exactly what they were thinking. Children at that young age, right? One of them still in primary school, are hard to read, and I didn't want to make more of it than it was. But I'm sure they were listening. They were standing in front of a tree holding the card with me, and when we brought it back home, we talked about it again. Hey, what children watch, they carry. And what they carry, they eventually become, I'm sure. So, like arrows in the hands of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Did you like that? The warrior doesn't just hold the arrow. The warrior made the arrow what it is. It gave it a meaning. By the time it flies, the forming is already done, and that's my point. Kevin Ford's food truck is called K27Y. He used his money to do that, you see. That's his initials. Kevin, 27 years, Y. Right? The 27 years. He runs it with Serena today, who is, it turns out, Le Cordon Bleu Train. That's a pretty fancy training system. Now the daughter who wrote the GoFundMe, that was her. They are building something together now, side by side. My friends, Kevin Ford spent 27 years at a table he didn't own, in a kitchen that wasn't his, cooking, and it wasn't his, and he was cooking food he would never probably eat. He'll probably be so sick of it. And in an airport where everyone was always leaving. That's the context. And his daughter stayed with him because he fought through the marriage, I think, to get custody of him. Now I think about my mother at that Hong Kong table with her headless dolls and her quiet production line, doing a work that didn't look significant, in a room too small to distinguish from the room next door, really. So tiny. Sure, I may be 5 or 6 years old and I cried because I couldn't do it and didn't want to try, yes. But I didn't know at 5 that what I was being formed to become, right? Just looking at distance, looking back now. She was a special woman. And that, the table I was sitting there was teaching me something about showing up that I wouldn't find words for until decades later. And I'm glad I shared it with you. Kevin's daughter found her words on a GoFundMe page. She raised nearly $500,000 with him. That's incredible. But the words were the only possible because of what she had been given to work with. 20 years of a father who came back every morning. The inheritance was never in a goodie bag, was it? But it was already in her. Friends, let me ask you, what are your children watching right now? Is it on the screen? Or watching how you react to things that they've got questions about? Not what you plan to show them, not what you intend to model once the finances are tidy up, no. Nothing is perfect, but right now. Because somewhere between the shopping center and the church car park, between a Hong Kong table, Las Vegas food truck window, all that is where the real inheritance is being built. Your relationship with the kids, good relationships, I hope. One ordinary day at a time. Hey guys, thanks for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I really got touched by it. I really enjoyed it. So I'll get to see you again. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share my video. Take it easy. Bye bye.